Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sound of Hope News. I'm your host, Wei Fang.
And I'm Kathy Zhang. How are you? Hope
Yeah.
you had a good weekend.
Yes, again from San Francisco, California. And today we have a few important, interesting piece of news for you to know. And first, as you see the title, that we all glad to know that basically the Trump supporter lost all their cases in the court. So the court simply didn't take any of their cases. And then today, actually, we want to review to you a report that actually they won nearly 70% of all the case if the case were heard by the court. And so what's going on with that? And also Trump's the impeachment against Trump will enter the trial tomorrow. Okay, so what would unfold in this week? And also Joe Biden is considering raising the minimum wage, national minimum wage, to $15. All right, and what is the implication to our nation? And also, CCP actually banned a recently very hot app called the Clubhouse. Have you tried that? It's an audio app. And so what's behind that? And then finally, we want to talk to you about a kind of not very clear but quite extraordinary case about a Australian Chinese. I'm sorry, I should say Chinese-Australian, was arrested by CCP, and she may face death penalty. So what's going on there? All right, let's first move into the impeachment trial, which will unfold tomorrow. Kathy, what would happen tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so today, Senate and the Senate leaders have reached an agreement on how to proceed with the impeachment. So tomorrow, Tuesday, there will be a debate and a subsequent simple majority vote on the constitutionality of the impeachment trial of, the 45th President Donald J. Trump. Then on Wednesday, there will be 16 hours of debate, for both the House impeachment managers and Trump's defense lawyers. Trump won't appear in person. Then after the senator jurors' question period, there will be a debate and a vote on whether to call witness as requested by the House impeachment managers. People remember there's no witness were called during the passing of the House in article of impeachment, where they alleged that the incitement of an insurrection was the reason for the impeachment. Then the trial, by the end of this week, on Friday, 5 p.m. through Saturday, the trial will be in recess. The reason is it's upon the request of the defense attorney David Schoen, who observed the Jewish Sabbath. So then when the impeachment trial will end, right now we did not see any information on that. So basically that's the procedure that the Senate leaders from the both parties have agreed upon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so what is President Trump's legal team's defense? So actually, they published a memo. They publicized a memo today, and then for the people to see. And I want to just go through them because I think there's things to learn from the memo. And just first a summary. Their conclusion is this: the Senate has no jurisdiction to try a former official, that the charge against the 45th president is deficient, and their client was deprived of the due process and have had his right to free speech violated by this article of impeachment. So it is a 78-page memo, and I just want to highlight some points for you. Actually, I think it's worthy for us to learn from it. Okay, first, the memo in the very beginning stated this. He said the Democrat filed at least 9 resolutions to impeach Trump in the last 4 years. And then, in this case, in any impeachment, of course, the House would serve as the investigator and the prosecutor. In this case, there's no investigation. So what they say is this. They said, just 5 days after the January 6th, the House formally introduced the House Resolution 24, which is the impeachment resolution. And then next day, Nancy Pelosi announced that the 9 representatives who would serve as the impeachment manager. Then one day later, which is February 13, the House Democrat complete the fastest presidential impeachment inquiry in history. All right, they adopted the article of impeachment over a strong opposition and zero due process afforded to Mr. Trump. Okay, that's against the constitutional requirement and a century of practice. So basically what the memo said is this: in 3 days, the impeachment was finished. There was no investigation, and Trump was offered no chance to even defend himself. And the memo said out of the 170 footnotes in the House manager, impeachment manager, okay, in their trial memorandum, only 3 citations out of 170, only 2% cite the affidavit of law enforcement officers, and they play only a supportive role. They support description of what the rioters was wearing and the weapons that was found. So the rest of 167 pieces supporting facts all come from the media. And the memo said from the hearsay through the media, because media was already biased. All right, so that's the first thing. And then, so another counter argument is that actually the impeachment say that it is the January 6th, President Trump's speech that incited the insurrection, caused what happened at the Capitol Hill. And actually the FBI and the Justice Department already said they charged protesters who conspired to breach the U.S. Capitol days before the incident. Okay? And in that detail challenged the argument put forth in many media reports that it was Trump's speech on that day that was the impetus for the violence. All right, and also there was like a pipe bomb, if you still remember. I still remember that. The pipe bomb were planted at the RNC, the Republican National Committee, and the DNC, all right, and the headquarters on that day. And then police believe that that was placed there the night before the riot, all right. And so this cast a shadow on the charge of it was the speech by Trump that caused the riot. And then the memo said the House leadership simply cannot have it both ways. Either the president incited the riot, like what the article of impeachment claims, or the riot was pre-planned by a small group of criminals who deserved punishment to the full extent of the law. The further, just illustrate this point, just hear me out. What do you think? The memo said the Capitol is 1.6 miles away from the speech place, which is the Eclipse Park, which is near the White House. Actually, I was there. Kathy and I were there. Many of you were there too. And the memo said this is about like a 30 to 33 minutes of walk. In the morning, okay, at noon, around noon, 11:58 a.m., Trump starts speaking, addressing the crowd. And he spoke for about like 74 minutes. All right. So when the riot started to happen at Capitol Hill, Trump has not finished his talk yet. Mm-hmm. Okay. And only 19 minutes later, he finished his talk. So how can in that way, they describe that how can those people who really, just love him and hear him, and before he finished, they walk away, come over there, do something that contrary to what President Trump said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, there are actually more and more, it's just a mounting evidence showing that in those criminal complaints and affidavits that this Capitol riot was pre-planned. So there is there are like so many affidavits. I just give you one example. There's one affidavit filed in case against Thomas Caldwell, who is believed to have a leadership in the Oath Keepers group and who faced charges of conspiracy and conspiracy to impede or injure an officer. So it says in the affidavit, evidence uncovering in the course of the investigation in investigation, demonstrators that not only did this Caldwell and another two of his followers and others conspired to forcibly storm the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, they communicated with one another in advance of the incursion and the planned attack. Yeah, and there has been like a FBI charges on, for example, we reported to you before, like a Black Lives Matter activist, right, from Utah, who just disguised as a Trump supporter. There have been many reports on that.
Yeah, as for the constitutionality of this article of impeachment, actually the Constitution said this: judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal and disqualification. I remember this. It says, it did not say no further, should not extend further than to removal or disqualification. It says removal and disqualification, which means the removal has to be there, has to happen. But Trump is already a private citizen. There's no removal. Then where is this disqualification? Okay, so from that angle, the impeachment was not constitutional in this regard, and because it was for removal, not for the purpose of punishing a man who's no longer in office and who cannot then run for public office again.
Yeah, and on this regard, I think it's in this regard, it's puzzling that the Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, he said something. He said it seems like Trump resigned to avoid this impeachment. Trump did not resign, right? That's the term. His term was up.
Yeah,
it's puzzling.
Yes,
yeah.
That's my feeling too. And further in the memo, it mentioned this. Just hear me out here. The memo said even if the Senate were to convict him without jurisdiction, such a decision would not go unchallenged. It says if Mr. Trump decides to run again, any non-binding disqualification from an unauthorized Senate vote could and would be challenged in a court of law. And then, the memo went on to talk about the issue of the bill of attender. The bill of attender, I don't know whether you're familiar with that. The founding father, the framer of the Constitution, intentionally exclude adopting any concept of the bill of attender, which basically just punish a person, deprive him of his right, and because of whatever he did. He just have no right whatsoever going forward. And so he said that violates the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, which states that no bill of attender shall be passed. So in the United States, we don't have that, even though in the back in England, there's enough of such, and we don't have that. So, and this article of impeachment, when executed, is essentially equivalent to the bill of attender. I don't know how you think about that. All right, the memo also listed several historical precedents, which I will not talk too much about to save time. And it does, emphasize on the freedom of speech. All right, because Constitution says an elected official, especially the president, and so the impeachment basically say he has fewer rights under the First Amendment than everyone else in the United States. All right, okay. However, the Constitution says the First Amendment is not the Constitution said. The memo said First Amendment is widely understood as prohibiting Congress from abridging the freedom of speech or the right of people peacefully to assemble in all aspects of state action in all three branches of government. So First Amendment, the right was very, very strongly protected. Mm-hmm. There's no abridging whatsoever. And then the House manager, in this case, their suggestion is that the First Amendment does not apply to this impeachment process. And President Trump, because he was the president, he does not have his full, First Amendment of speech. And so if you remember what the president said during the speech, he said, I know that everyone, so basically he was charged with a sentence like this: if you don't fight like hell, you are not going to have a country anymore. All right, this is one of the main charge. And Pelosi said, word matter. and so that's why they go after they want to go after Trump. And however, to characterize this statement alone as an incitement to insurrection is to ignore wholesale the remainder of Mr. Trump's speech that day, including his call for his supporters to peacefully and making their voice heard. And I just recited two sentences that he said that on that day, and many of you were there. I know that. He said, "I know that everyone here," this is Trump's word, "will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voice heard."
Yeah, make a note, and all the mainstream media left out the last half of the sentence. Yeah, that's probably a lot of people noticed that.
What a shame. My media profession, peers, and Trump also said we have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anyone hurt. This is after the riot happened. All right, so basically that's the summary what I think that the key point for us to take away. There's a lot of things that talk about the First Amendment, how sacred or how protective that is, and also the bill of attainder, right? Mm-hmm. And that should not have any position in our public life, and other things. All right. So let's move on to talk about the topic of today. So everybody will learn that as a fact, okay? Basically, Trump supporter lost all their legal cases in court.
Yeah, and also this type of rhetoric has been over and over utilized by some of the state legislatures, right? Yeah. To just hit back to those witness or testimonials saying, all the courts just denied or the lawsuits all fail. But what's the reality? So some of our viewers actually asked about that too before. So according to a new analysis, of the 22 cases that have been heard by the courts and decided on their merits, Trump and the Republicans have prevailed in 15 of them. So basically, it's about 65%, 68%, right? So this means, it's about like 2/3 of the cases they are fully adjudicated by the courts. Once they are fully adjudicated by the courts, Trump and his party wins. And this analysis is done by the citizen journalist called John Rhodes Jr. He is a physicist and environmental advocate in North Carolina. So the findings does not necessarily suggest, if the lawsuits had all been decided before January 7th, when, the electoral colleges were certified. But nor it would necessarily say they will have an effect on the electoral college vote count in the battleground states. However, it's really, so the purpose, what's the purpose of this report? This Mr. Rhodes explained the purpose. He said, "Our view is that people, the public, needs to be much better educated regarding the election integrity issue and having a more accurate understanding of the lawsuit component is a key part of that." So let's just take a look at just a small part of this list, because he actually put into a spreadsheet of all the like all the lawsuits in the court. That's C0, if we can show that. And for, it's a long list. This is just only the beginning part of it. And just for example, in Pennsylvania, there's a case, Trump for president versus Bokvar. That's in Pennsylvania court. Let's see, C1. And in which the Trump campaign was granted an injunction against the counting of mail-in and absentee ballots, where voters were allowed to provide proof of identities days after election day. Okay, so that's the court actually ruled on November 12th, saying that the court held that the Secretary of State did not have the authority to extend the proof of ID period by 3 days and granted an injunction against counting ballots that have followed those guidelines. So that's just one of the cases.
Yeah, and for a way to add some detail behind it, which I think there's some detail really we want to learn from it, okay? This gentleman, he's a scientist, okay? He's a physicist. And Droz, his name is Droz. Droz and a team of volunteers, and it seems to be in a similar profession. They are all scientists or computer professionals and so on. They dug through the court filing all across the nation, all right? And then they tracked down 81 lawsuits that was filed in connection of the election, presidential election, all right? Altogether, they identified and followed 81 cases. Among those 81 cases, 11 were withdrawn or consolidated. So basically, whatever, they just didn't continue, all right? So that left him with 70 cases. In the 70 cases, okay, as Kathy reported to you, right, 47 was, among the let me see, among the 70 cases, there's 23 cases, okay, who was stopped from proceeding, okay, they were dismissed. Know this. This is what happened a lot during the last 3 or 4 months, right? As we reported to you, due to the legal technicalities such as standing, you have no standing, your timing is wrong, and then jurisdiction, we don't have jurisdiction, go to another court, okay? So Droz wrote this. He said that this has nothing to do with the merits of the case and should also not be considered win or loss for either side, all right? But, he said, more than a third of the lawsuit were not allowed to proceed to a evidentiary hearing. It's more of an indictment that many judges appear to be afraid of opening this Pandora's box. Okay, do you agree? He said, considering the importance of the election integrity for our nation, it is a shame for the judges to hide behind subjective legal technicalities. How is that in the interest of the citizens in our country? So among these 81, 23 just like that. Okay, that's the one that we saw, in my opinion, in Supreme Court, multiple of them there, and in those battlefield states. As you know, these 81, they are not necessarily in the battlefield. They are across the nation. But you see the similar situation. 1/3 of the cases were thrown out because of the standing jurisdiction and the timing and so forth and so on. So basically the judge said, take it away. I don't want to take a look at it. All right, so 70 minus 23, you got 47 cases. Okay, among them, 22 was finalized. The court heard the argument, considered the evidence, and issue a ruling. That was what Kathy just reported to you. Trump or Republicans won 15 and lost 7. Okay, a 68% for winning percentage. And then what happened to the other 25, right? 47 minus 22, you still got 25 lawsuits. They are still continue on. They are not yet fully, they don't have...
They're still active,
Yeah,
right?
they're still active. There's no result yet. So this is the picture, okay? For a fair and objective journalist would report to you just like what I did, which is not hard, was not difficult, was not, challenging at all. But how many of us apologize for my media profession? How many of us did that?
Yeah, and this is what this John Droz, the citizen journalist, said in the statement, saying, is that what the mainstream media is reporting? So he has this question. So yeah, for us, I think for a lot of people, what they want is really to see the election integrity is, protected. There's transparency, fair, and a free election being conducted.
Yeah. So okay. So if you like what we report here, please click the likes and also the subscription, and thank you very much. Help us spread this program to more people. Mm-hmm. And then the next news we want to bring to you is the issue of a federal minimum wage, the raise of that. Okay. So today actually it's not Joe Biden hasn't done that. As a matter of fact, he said this. Okay. He said he promised that he's gonna raise the minimum wage to $15 nationwide. But he said that the bill probably won't survive the current COVID-19 relief talk because the difference is too much.
Yeah,
He will leave it out for now.
Yeah, because the Senate already took it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, by the way, if you look at the news of today, this is a Congressional Budget Office. They issue an estimate today. He said a $15 federal minimum wage increase as proposed by the Democrats, hear me out, would cost 1.4 million jobs by 2025, but it would lift 900,000 people out of poverty.
Yeah, how could that be? Isn't it sounds a little bit a contradiction.
I wish you all here, I can hear your comment, okay? But you can type it there, right? So this is CBO, which is a nonpartisan, supposedly. They issue numbers, and I think their credibility actually is, their visibility, I would say, is at the most, has to be, questioned because who can see the future? But they did their due diligence, I would say. But this conclusion, it would cost 1.4 million jobs in 4 years, but it would lift 900,000 people out of poverty. Yeah, I understand that, right? Basically, for those 900 people, they may earn just $7 an hour. Now they can earn $15. They are lifted out of poverty. What about those 1.4 million people who lost their job? When they lost their job, are they in poverty? So
yeah, how to reconcile these two?
Yeah, don't you want to do another math saying that you're gonna lose, you're gonna throw 500,000 people, 1.4 million minus 900,000 people, and throw them into poverty by lifting this minimum salary, all right? And also the CBO said it would also increase the federal deficit by $54 billion over a decade. It would drive price higher for goods and services, and also increase wages for 17 million workers who currently make less than $15 an hour. I really, I'm curious, okay, because guys, we are on the Chinese side, right? We were, and now we are doing English. So actually, I'm very, very curious about what's your thought about on the minimum wage. It doesn't seem to be on the, one of the hottest debate item. But I really wanted to know, what do you think? Are you for it? Are you against it? Can you just type there? I just want to do a little, survey so that I know our English audience, how you think about that. $15, mind you, in now the national wage, minimum wage, well, the most recent data is this, not recent, since 2009. Okay, and there was a hike there. The federal minimum wage is $7.25, since 2009. Now it's 12 year later. All right, it was 7.9, 7.5. To giving a lift, move it to $15. Seems like something makes sense. Do you think? Do you think so? You are for the minimum wage hike to $15, or you are against? Can you just do a simple survey there? Definitely no. Okay, I see. All right, so I don't know how you think about that.
Yeah, and David says the minimum wage seems like a bad idea. The reason is simple. Many beginning young and old adults are not worth $15 per hour. Yeah, that's a point.
Yeah, that's just actually very, very simple math, right? A simple example. Let me take that to another extreme. There's homeless. We got 7,000 homeless on the street, right? Everybody agree that we want to turn them into not homeless. They should have a home. All right, so a small business, a local businessman, he want to help them, okay? And in the meantime, there's a fresh college grad. He just get out of college, he come over here and give him his resume and try to apply for his job. So he's looking at this homeless and looking at this new grad, and he knows that he has to pay $15 an hour at least. Without a question, he's going to hire that college grad, right? Think about another scenario. If there's no, let's say, not a 7.25, there's no minimum wage. There's no minimum wage. He would think, I give that homeless guy $2 per hour, doing some very, very simple job, okay? Starting with $2. And then gradually, he's going to improve his skill. Because this guy want to help him, right? This is the homeless in his community. He will give him better job, train him some more, handhold this guy, and he's not paying too much because he can pay him $3 now, $4 now, $5 now. Finally, this guy was lifted out of the poverty. This guy walk off the street and move into a simple apartment. That's how the founding fathers see how we help, the poor people. Help them stand up by themselves. This minimum wage, be it $15 or be it $7.25, is hindering this local businessman in doing his job. All right. So as I study the Constitution, also an economic theory behind the Constitution. The Constitution, without saying anything about how to run the market, actually have a complete frame of thought for that idea, the free market of America, which is come from the Wealth of the Nations by Adam Smith from England. Right? So after adopting that theory, it was a commonplace, free market. Of course, this is given. At that time, it's unprecedented. It was unprecedented. The theory of the wealth of the nation was never implemented in any nation in large scale. It was the United States that stopped adopting that. So 2 years after adopting the free market by Adam Smith, the U.S. was entering prosperity in 2 short years. Remember, at that time, when they adopted that, it was a country ruined by the war. Okay, the government owed so much money to the veterans, owed so much money to the Friends, and the federal government is literally bankrupt. And then in 2 years, the country entered a round of prosperity and did not stop since then. Simple idea, free market, give the local businessman his right, don't interfere. Government as you government know nothing better than this local businessman in running his local business and taking care of the homeless in his community. But the government always dare to step in and thinking they are smarter. They are the justice, guardian. They are not. They mess up things. So this is my little comment. Do you agree? This idea, minimum wage, was not a good idea in the eyes of founding fathers, but they have become a common thing today.
Yeah, what you just talked about inspired me to, I had two inspirations. So one is another example is the illegal immigrants. When there are illegal immigrants come and they directly, they need a job, right? A lot of them, they wanted to work. So for a small business or whatever, a business owner, if there is a minimum wage and on the other hand, this illegal immigrant, he just say, I don't care. You give me $10, right? Rather than $15, I will do the job. Then what would be the effect? A lot of the Americans' job opportunities will be affected. And the second thing I thought about was, this new administration is trying to do a nationwide 15 minimum wage. So that I think also violate the Constitution principle, right? Because in California, maybe $15 wage is still not enough because of such a higher rent or housing market, right? But in maybe like Iowa or Ohio, $15. Probably, it's like every states are different. That's why I think in the United States it's a republic. Each state, just according to their own situation, for these type of things, each state make their own decisions instead of a nationwide policy. So yeah, that's two of my thoughts.
Yeah, this $15, actually, I interviewed a constitutional scholar, and basically he said this $15 or $7 actually is very cruel. It forever banish those homeless for any job, because they just cannot earn 15. Nobody will pay them $15 an hour. That would bankrupt that local business. So it's in the name of helping poor. It's very cruel. They just punish poor in such a harsh extent, and having some good intention create the worst result. This is the trait of the socialism. It's just unfortunately, from our understanding of socialism, we thought they were just naive, right? And here we thought they are naive. In the end, they were not naive. It was intentionally designed. Do you believe that? Back then when socialists, communists, won their power in China, how could they think about that? This so-called theory from Russia, from the West, why so many Chinese people support them and then help the CCP got the power of the nation? Because they say all the beautiful things. We're all for the poor, and we're gonna give you, everything you need, and so on. We're gonna just strike this, ruling class, and you will be the owner of the nation, and so on and so forth. It's all lies, intentional lies, and then they cheat them into turn them into their troops, and then subvert the nation, and they're doing the similar thing now in a lesser extent in this nation. So I think program like this, okay, is we definitely need to let everybody know. I think the theory of the Adam Smith and the simple theory behind those minimum wage, the absurdity of even the concept of a minimum wage is not hard to understand. Give me 10 minutes, I can convince the leftists about that. I mean, some of them, I won't say everyone. We need to keep spreading the truth so people to know what kind of nation we should be. And one by one, we change people for them to recognize what's the truth, what's the right way to do things. All right, okay, that's my comment a little too long. And if you like, our program, making sure click likes and subscribe. If you don't know whether you are indeed subscribed, just unsubscribe and resubscribe. That will help us a lot.
Yeah, and I saw quite a few audience are donating to us. Dee Smith, thank you so much for your support. And Colt Werith, thank you. And some of you just asked how to donate. So donation box, right? We will post that. So really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on. There's a little US-based, I like this, US-based audio app, Clubhouse, okay? Appear to have been, it's becoming very hot lately. It's an audio platform. People go there, they can chat, and then it's invitation only. Interesting. Actually, I haven't tried it. It's a shame. I really should have tried it before coming on the show. But I'll do it tonight. Report it to you the day after. Okay, and then many Chinese in China joined the, download the app, and then, they were selling this invitation code. It's become something quite pricey, $62 on the WeChat. The Chinese social media is called WeChat. It's literally become a virtual world. Okay, people buy things and sell things there. So the invite code of this Clubhouse soared to $62 US dollar. I mean.
But I think we wanted to make a note for the some of our audience may not know WeChat is really monitored by the Chinese authority.
Never use it. Don't use it. We don't even use it. With all our friends there, we still cannot use it because it's just like a leaker, just by your side every single moment.
Yeah, and under Trump administration, they were actually trying to ban that WeChat app in the United States.
They almost succeeded.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but with the change of the presidency, now they revived. They survived. Okay. So on this Clubhouse, there was this dialogue about Hong Kong freedom, suppression of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, the Taiwan sovereignty, and other topics that Chinese censors usually deem sensitive, and then they just ban them. Such topics, such chatting forum flourish on the app. So today they blocked it. And then, okay, so that's just actually no surprise. This is so common in China, and just another reminder that what communists, what's their behavior. All right, and also in this, okay.
According, towards this incident, the state-run media by the Chinese Communist government, Global Times, said in its editorial that this app is no free speech haven, citing an anonymous Clubhouse user who said the discussion on the platform could be anti-China political propaganda in a short period of time.
You notice the language they use? They always can turn a very, very bad thing, describe a very, very bad thing with a very, very good word, very positive word.
Yeah.
This is called propaganda, right? As we know, they are propaganda.
Yeah, the leftist propaganda. And why I point this out, actually the next piece of news relates to this Global Times. So the Global Times, as we told you, it's CCP controlled propaganda media in China. It also has, not only has a Chinese English version, it also has corresponding like TV station, CCTV, and overseas, it's called CGTN. So it's just reported today that an Australian journalist called Chen Lei, was formally arrested in China on February 5th. And this Miss Chen, she actually was an anchor of CGTN. Lei Chen was she's 49 years old. Okay, and actually back in last year, August, she's already confirmed that she's arrested, but not really sure what's the reason. And just these couple of days, just today actually, the Australian Foreign Minister confirmed that the government, about this news, and the Australian government has raised this their serious concern. So what really happened, right? So the family of Lei Chen, told Australian public broadcaster ABC that the family was shocked when they were first notified about her detention, and they didn't understand what's going on. But actually, then she has two children, 11 and 9, are now being looked after by their grandmother in Melbourne. So this Miss Lei Chen, she was actually, when her own description on the social media, she's an avid advocate for telling China stories. Okay, so she's actually pretty pro-government of the Chinese communist. So, but it was also reported that when after the pandemic happened, Lei Chen actually, on the social media, she posted something criticizing the Chinese Communist government of handling this virus. So is this could be part of the problem of her speech? And also in a bigger environment is the relationship between U.S. and Australia just getting very, very serious, very tense since last year, because actually the Australian government really they realized how the Chinese Communist Party has been infiltrating and trying to control various aspects of their country.
Oh wow! I don't know. I'm a little speechless, guys. I'm seeing D.D. Smith donated $200. We got so many donations today.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
It's very, very, very shocking. And thank you so much, for your support. And actually, it's a low time. I have to admit, this is low time, and I think for most of you and for us too. But we do think that we need to continue going. People need to be informed, and we all need to keep learning. And I do think that a lot of things we can learn, and those values is what will revive our country.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much.
Yeah. All of your donation and your comments, and just really warms up our heart, and it just really mean a lot to us, and we got encouraged. And just try, we'll try our best. And
I'm seeing a record here. I cannot believe my eyes, guys. I just cannot believe it. Just 1 moment ago, I see the concurrent viewers through 438, and then there's 437 likes. I think that's probably a record on the YouTube platform. And I really need to do a screen capture before it drift away.
Oh, and.
D.D. Smith. You donated 5 times tonight.
Yeah, and also
Thank
Debbie.
You
Yeah, Debbie.
so very much.
Debbie also donated $99.99.
Oh gosh, not
what a number.
not just a monetary, help. Okay, this is a great encouragement to us and our team. Okay, we have 3 people in the back room. They were, they're part of the team. They never show their face, but they're always there, diligently working. And it's a great encouragement to our team. We'll share with our company too. And thank you so very much. And all right, so.
Yeah, so just back to the story of Lei Chen. Lei Chen. And so I don't know how way you think. When because I was like from most of the reports, just there wasn't really a clear reason of why she was arrested. But as I dig further, I found
I'm sorry, Didi said, I hacked Biden's bank account. I like that comment. All right, yeah, thank you, Didi, thank you. Yeah, let me continue because you donate for us. Continue the news. Thank you so much. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
yeah.
Kathy.
So what I think, it just reminds of me how the Chinese Communist Party work, and so as this anchor, like former anchor, right? She just described herself as a very enthusiastic, avid teller of a China story, which was heavily promoted by Xi Jinping. That's like his project, his thing, right? But all of a sudden, maybe because of the U.S.-China's U.S.-Australia relationship just deteriorated. Maybe also combined with how she expressed herself, her criticism of the government on social media, and also it was said that she became a friend with another foreign journalist. So maybe there were some exchanges they did. All of things combined, it tells one thing: under an authoritarian regime like CCP, they can treat you as like the best of their subordinate, but the next day they can just, throw you under the bus according to their need. So that's just what happens.
Yeah, so in Chinese, there's this so-called 站队, okay, lining up, which one you're lining up. In the party, there's no value to follow, there's no predictability. You have to watch out which leader you follow. If you line the wrong step, and then that leader lose favor, his whole team is sacked. Okay, so this is how unpredictable a communist regime is. And it's just, we know too much about that.
Yeah, and I think this could be a really good reference to our media peers in the United States.
I hope they're watching, or they would watch in the
because
future.
she's a journalist, okay? She was talking the party line, but one day she could be facing death penalty. Okay, it's serious.
Yeah, we'll figure out what happened to her. We may not be able to figure out. We may never be able to figure out, because in China, when they persecute someone or prosecute someone or persecute, it's the same thing. Okay, they tell you that you knows it. If you are if you are wrong and you ask why did you do this to me? What kind of crime I committed? They're gonna say you know it. They say you know it. I see some of this in this country too. But anyway, but we don't yield. Okay, right? I think we don't yield. Good people stand firm, and we recognize those. We let more people know about that. I think the justice will stand too, will hold.
Yeah, and we hope our American fellow Americans here in the United States can really take the reference, take the lesson from China, and really not to follow the same steps.
Yeah, and Joan F. just wrote, how terrible to live under the CCP. Yes, you're right. That's the reason, actually. I would say Chinese people will turn out to be the best ally of American people. Even though it's a communist China, the Chinese people really, really had enough of that. All right, and they will lend their hand, and whenever they have a chance, and maybe starting with the Chinese Americans. Yeah, thank you, and thank you. We're here for the long haul, and we'll do what we can, and we will bring the hope to everyone, together with you. Not Wei and Kathy. Okay, together with you. We'll bring hope to this country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as a reminder, we really try to do our best, but we don't know how the social media platforms are gonna be going forward. So if you would like to keep in contact with us, send an email to us so that we can keep in touch with you in case something happens. We hope it won't happen.
Yeah, and please for Lisa, send the email collection page there. And also install Safe Chat. That's another way to keep in touch with us, and because we can send a notification to everyone over there. All right, thank you. That's all for tonight. And so Wednesday we'll prepare a lot of great content. I already prepared something. We'll bring that to you. And by the way, the Thursday is the Chinese New Year Eve. Okay, and maybe we'll bring you some special program there on Wednesday. Anyway, so thank you very much for staying with us. And take care. Good night, and see you on Wednesday.
Thank you so much for your support. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you everyone. For your support, really.
Okay.
Okay.
See
Bye-bye.
you.